Will Levis needs help. The Titans get blown out by the Commanders 42-19. This game was over in the first half. We're going to talk about what went wrong for the Titans, what went right, how Will Levis played, and what we're looking for the rest of the season as wins become less and less significant. This is the Music City Audible. Let's get to it. Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast presented by Broadway Sports Media in partnership with 440 Sports. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo and Justin. Our run of recapping wins for the Titans ended very, very quickly. We got to do one more, and we'll see how many more we get this season, but today is not one of them. How's it going, my friend?
Yeah, they haven't won consecutive games in a long time, by the way. If you look into that, I think you'll be shocked at how long it's been since they've won 2 games in a row. And they certainly didn't win Sundays. 42-19, as you said. Just an ugly game, right? I think what struck me most about this contest was it was 28-0. First of all, 28-0 before you even had a chance to blink, right?
Yeah.
Like there was, I think, 11 minutes left in the second quarter. It's 28-0 Washington. I think what's crazy about that is Will Levis hadn't even had an opportunity to impact the game yet, positively or negatively, right? They start with the ball, false start on J.C. Latham, false start on NPF. I think it was a third play. I think they ran a quick play on first and 15. Another false start. You're up against, like, what was it, like second and 20, but second and 22,
second
I think,
and 19.
Yeah.
Pollard,
before you could even blink.
Pollard taken down for a 3-yard loss on second and 19, so now it's third and 22.
Right. So 3rd and 22, Will Levis had done nothing wrong yet. They punt that ball back to Washington. 3 plays, touchdown for the Commanders. 50-yard run by Brian Robinson Jr. to give them the quick lead. You get a Tony Pollard fumble. Rare, unfortunate. One of those games where things start to snowball. They come down, score a touchdown. Then Jaquan Jackson fumbles the kickoff return. They score a touchdown. So that's only 21, but it was 28-0.
You missed
before we had a chance to blink.
Yeah, you missed a 5-play, 17-yard drive in there before the Pollard fumble. But right, I mean, it was crazy how off the rails this game went for the Titans so quickly. It's almost impossible to imagine you can make this many mistakes in this short amount of time. It literally felt like every play that was run in this game was disastrous for the Titans. Even the simple incomplete pass on the first drive looked like it was almost intercepted. The first pass that wasn't the one to Pollard, the screen to Pollard. And then, you mentioned the fumble. You mentioned Jaquan Jackson, so you don't even touch the ball. You go, 14 points for Washington before the Titans even have a real possession. And again, that put it up to 28-0. Then you get the ball back down 28-0, go 3 and out again. And if Washington hadn't missed a field goal, it would have been 31-0 by the time you put a real drive together. But Justin, if we just look at this game from 1:52 left in the second quarter to the end of the game, the Titans won 19-14. And I don't say that to be snarky or sarcastic. Like, literally, once the team stopped making not just mistakes, but like critical game-altering mistakes, what Mike Vrabel would say, the plays that get you beat. Once they stopped doing that, they played competitive football for 2 quarters. So were the Commanders taking the foot off the gas? Did some of that stuff that happened in the second half not really matter because they built a 28-point lead? Maybe, but 28-7 at halftime, and you go down and get a field goal 28-10 with 2 full quarters to play, essentially. That's not garbage time at that point. So everything that happened then when they went down and got another field goal, like that was real football being played where they still had a chance to make an improbable comeback, and they played a lot better. But you just can't make that many mistakes in the opening quarter and overcome it. It's just impossible. No. Like, that was crazy.
It's impossible, like you said. I mean, and I'm glad you said it, because when it was 28-10, they had kind of, rounded off 10 unanswered. They had that drive. If they scored a touchdown on that drive, the Titans, my ears kind of would have, right? But they got the field goal only, 28-13. Washington come down, put the game away on the next possession. They score a touchdown, 35-13, is officially over at that point. But you're right. Like, for a moment, I was stupid enough to say, if they get a touchdown on this drive, maybe there's the old Dumb and Dumber, you're telling me there's a chance kind of thing. But no, there certainly wasn't. Don't want to spend too much time on it, in all honesty. Like you said, game-altering mistakes, it's very obvious. I will say the 2 things I want to point out. I thought Denard Wilson's defensive game plan was horrid. Fitting, coming off the confidence meter episode we did where we were like 10 out of 10. Not going to change that drastically, but I do think the game, this is one of those situations where I thought the game plan defensively was arguably as bad as the execution. They've struggled with mobile quarterbacks all year, right? They struggled with Malik Willis. This is not the first time. They struggled certainly with Jaden Daniels. And then this was the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, we'd have to review the all 22. But early on, especially, I'm watching them in coverage. And I made the joke in the group chat. I'm like, are they playing prevent defense on every snap? Like, it just felt like, how many tight window throws did Jaden Daniels make in this game? That's not a negative. How many up to him?
One, two.
How many tight window throws did he have to make? Right? Like those first two, the first touchdown drive, I said it was 3 plays, 50-yard touchdown run for Brian Robinson. The first 2 throws, they both went for like 10-yard completions. Those receivers just essentially ran to the line of, I'll say to the line of scrimmage. They ran to the first down marker, turned around, and there's not a Titans defender within 6 yards of them, and they just catch it underneath and they're tackled. Like, it felt like they weren't, where was the Denard Wilson man coverage? We're going to jam you at the line. Like, it was very confusing to me what the game plan was. They could not contain Jaden Daniels at all. They got very little pressure on him. Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat started this game terribly, got a little better as it went on. I thought Harold Landry was very bad in this game. Amani Hooker was very bad in this game. The final thing I want to point out that I don't think enough people are going to point out, that's why I'm doing it. If you were one of those people that were like, man, Jack Gibbons, whatever, the try hard, I'm tired of hearing good things about Jack Gibbons. I mean, oh my God, I thought I was going to go blind watching Jerome Baker on Sunday. Like, someone just please pour acid in my eyes. He was so terrible in this game. They were averaging 10 yards a play at one point, I think you pointed out. Brian Callahan said it on Monday how bad the run fits were. I mean, Jerome Baker was atrocious in this game. Really, really bad linebacker play. They missed Jack Gibbons a lot in this game. And look, Jerome Baker was not the reason they made that Ernest Jones trade. They made that trade for the 4th round pick. But I'm going to continue questioning that move. I do some daily coverage of the Seahawks. I always say that on people are like, what? The Seattle's run defense has been unbelievable since Ernest Jones got there. They were 29th or 30th between 29 and 31st in the league in run D when he got there. He got there late in the year. It's hard to turn that around. They're now 22nd. They've played Christian McCaffrey, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Breece Hall the last 4 weeks the Seahawks have. They've given up 3.5 yards per carry in the run game and 0 touchdowns. Ernest Jones is playing lights out football for the Seattle Seahawks. Meanwhile, the Titans are stuck with Jerome Baker, who's allowing 10 yards per carry on Sunday, it felt like. And I'm sorry?
Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I told everyone when they traded Ernest Jones that he was going to go to Seattle and be their Roquan Smith and Mike McDonald's defense and play well. And that's amazing. A team that's leading their division on a playoff quest. And the Titans...
3-game win streak now for the Seahawks.
And the Titans are in a totally different situation. They were sellers at the deadline for a reason. We praised them for being sellers at the deadline. So I'm not going to go back and say, oh, you shouldn't have traded Ernest Jones.
But I said it then. I said the value was good. But, they're sellers, but I don't know that I would have sold off a 25-year-old linebacker. DeAndre Hopkins is different. 32, who cares, right?
We were happy at the time.
I think that trade deserves to be under the microscope as we go forward here, and they can't find linebacker play worth a shit.
Whatever. This season doesn't even matter. They knew that at the time of the trade. It wasn't like they were going to make a rally. It could be a problem
next year. It could what I'm saying, too. They've got to go find linebacker.
Or they're counting on a guy they drafted this year in Cedric Gray and James Williams to step up. Obviously, those guys weren't ready to play because Luke Gifford was in the game over them on Sunday. But still, they have what they see as a path to replacing that position. So I'm not going to hammer them too hard for that. What I'm going to hammer them for is this Washington offense had hit the cliff. We even talked about it with Easton on a preview show. The cliff is a real thing. His offenses towards the end of a season get figured out. He stops making adjustments. He comes into a year with all these new ideas. And by midway through the season, all those new ideas have 8 weeks of tape and defenses start to catch on. How come the Titans didn't get the memo here? What were they studying this week that what led to this game plan is my question. Like you said, receivers were running wide open all over the field. It felt like they were playing 11 on 5 at sometimes. There was just nobody in the secondary covering anybody. And
it was underneath zones, it felt like, wasn't it? It wasn't like, okay, you line up in man coverage and you get beat, but you can live with that. It just felt like they weren't defending the underneath zones. And it really felt like a preseason game plan, didn't it? Like it just felt very
Worse.
vanilla to me.
It was worse. It was atrocious defense throughout the game. The interception that Amani Hooker got was lucky that it was a little overthrown and that Zach Ertz couldn't make an incredible catch and it tipped off his fingers and you're able to get a turnover there. But it's not like you did anything particularly well to force it other than capitalize on an opportunity with a ball floating over the middle of the field. So I don't even want to praise them for that. Like, this defense was completely different than the unit we saw close out the game a week ago against Houston. And I don't know what the answer is. Jeffrey Simmons said after the game that they were a little hungover from success, whatever the hell that means. Give me
success,
a break.
Right? That's so embarrassing. And I'm glad he said it because I tweeted it earlier, right? Sarcastically, I had tweeted Sunday saying Titans won their Super Bowl in Houston last weekend, right? But like, how can you be a 3-8 team going into this game and hungover from success? I mean, you've won 3 football games in 11 attempts. Like, there is no hungover from success. And it just makes last Sunday look embarrassing because you know how much stock they put into that one. We heard about, I think, Amy Adams-Strunk like crying in the post game, how happy she was with that win. I'm sorry, it all, not that specifically, but all of it just comes off a little embarrassing, doesn't it?
Yeah, like the team cares more to beat Houston than they do to put together consecutive wins and like string something out of this season. And at the same time, we know it helps them ultimately to lose as many games as possible because they're trying to get draft position, even though we had, the opposite reaction last Sunday.
They moved down in the draft.
I know, and they moved down a spot, so now they're in the 7 hole, I believe, picking as it stands now. But I think all this did for me was make me re-question, after we just talked about how we were confident in Brian Callahan being able to be a head coach and lead this team, it makes me question all of it all over again, because one of the biggest things the head coach has to do is get his team ready to play in the right mindset, especially coming off of a win. We see this happen all the time around the league where a team just goes the complete opposite end of the spectrum from what they did a week before because they're too hung up on what was the previous week, whether that was a horrible performance that they bounce back from or a great performance that they come out lackluster the next week. And like, you're the head coach, you got to have these guys ready to, if they're hung over from success, whatever the hell that means, that's your fault, Brian Callahan. They can't be hung over from success. They have not had any freaking success this season under your coaching. They have not had success. So I just want to say, like, the team, and this has not been the case all season long, especially early in the year, but the team today, or a Sunday, let down Will Levis, who played his ass off to try to put this team in position to make plays, and again, just consistently was let down by his teammates. Early in the season, the team was in position to win games, and Will Levis said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to lose it for us." Now we're seeing the opposite effect, which... is that good? Is that bad? I mean, ultimately for the future of the team, if your quarterback is making great plays that elevate the play of everyone else out there, regardless of where you're at right now, like, that's the kind of quarterback you need. And we saw these types of plays, the tight window threaded throw to Chigakonkwo on the sideline, the 3rd and 21 conversion where he spins out of a sack and does what we were talking about, Justin, last week that we've never seen him do, which is make a play out of structure for an explosive down the field. And he did it. So... I come out of this game.
And there was others. The throw to Tyler Boyd where he layered it over the coverage. Like, there was a lot of really nice things that were different than just he threw the occasional bomb. Like, I'm going to give Tic Tac credit, Locked On Titans credit, because he said something that caught my eye on the timeline. He said this felt more quarterbacky from Will Levis, and I love that word, and I agree, right? Because, again, it wasn't just the occasional bomb. It was playing within structure, but it was also playing outside of structure, escaping, layering throws over the coverage, like ball placement, accuracy. Really good performance by Will Levis. That's my I'll drink to that, by the way.
Let's do it. I'll drink to that, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages in East Nashville. Yes, we're drinking to Will Levis' performance because now, Justin, that makes 4 in a row. 4 solid.
That's a sample size.
Mostly mistake-free. He did the 1 interception, but mostly mistake-free games in a row for Will Levis. And yes, that is a sample size. That is something that you can start to assess as more than a blip, more than a fluke. Now, can he continue to do it for the rest of this season? That is a question, and that question needs to be answered. The hope that Titans fans had that the offense would come out against what was a terrible defense for most of the year and just look amazing after playing pretty well against 3 great defenses, that did not materialize. But Will Levis specifically, I thought, again, was given the least amount of help he's received all season. The drops, can we talk about the drops? At least 6 clear and obvious drops or the pass catcher, whether it's tight end or receiver, making the wrong read on the route, whether he should sit down in coverage versus continuing to run across space, like whichever one Will Levis was expecting them to do, they did the opposite multiple times in this game. It made some throws look off target that actually were good throws, but the receiver ran the wrong route. I feel like I'm defending Marcus Mariota all over again, but it was not like many of these plays were not Will Levis's fault. Now, he did run forward into a sack again when he felt like he had no time in the pocket. That happened one time, no, not 8 times. So I'm willing to forgive that. There was the third and goal play, not quite third and goal, but third and deep in the red zone when they had 10 points where the snap is botched and Will Levis just dives on it. I'm okay with that. At this point in his career, I'm okay with that. If it's Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, that they're probably scooping the ball up with one hand, doing a 360 in the backfield and throwing a no-scope touchdown. But for this point in Will Levis's career, I'm absolutely fine with the fact that he did not try to pick up that ball and make something happen, because he probably gets hit as he's picking it up and it bounces and Washington returns it for a touchdown if he doesn't just dive on it. So the mistakes, not there. The elevating plays were there. Good throws, good decisions, quick decisions under heavy pressure on many occasions. Like, I've been thoroughly impressed with his play over the last 4 weeks. And I thought, despite the score, this last game might have been his best one of this stretch, given all the circumstances.
It's right up there. Yeah. I don't have a ton to add. What I will say, two sacks only, 0 interceptions in this game. So impressive when you're down 28-0, you're in a hole. He's not the type of quarterback, so we thought, not the type of offensive line to play out of that hole, right? Like, oh my God, he's, 37 passing attempts, season high for him. He's going to throw an interception. He's going to take a bunch of sacks. This offensive line, Will Levis's pocket presence, not built to just drop back 40 times a game. But the fact that, 2 sacks, 0 picks, he was built to drop back 40 times and limit the mistakes in this game. So really, really impressed with him. Continues to get better every week. 4 great weeks in a row now, becoming almost a foregone conclusion, in my opinion, that he's back in 2025.
Yeah, and the box score, I said it, I think this was his best performance. The box score will not tell you that. I don't even think, did he complete 50% of his passes in this game?
It was under, it was 18 of 37.
18 of 37, so 1 completion under 50%. But again, so many drops. He actually was throwing the ball away, which we have, again, we've been begging him to do. Don't take the sack, throw the ball away. He dirted one.
A different quarterback.
Threw one out of bounds. Like, the progress that we've been looking for, again, I wish the 4 weeks ago game had been week 1, so that we'd be at week 5 right now with the progress we'd seen, and then the Titans would still have a chance to do something with this season. That is not something we can control. The point is, he's here now, and I like where he is now, and I think we're going to continue to see this growth. It may not be directly linear. I don't think he's going to get better and better with every single game that passes. There's still going to be a little bit of highs and lows and roller coaster-ness over the rest of the season, but if he ends the season playing at this level or higher, he is your quarterback for 2025. There's no question about it in my mind. So kudos to Will Levis. I'm definitely drinking to that. Brought to you by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville, serving the community since 1985. Their knowledgeable staff is proud to help you with large parties, themed events, or finding something unique for a special occasion. From birthday parties to milestone celebrations to everyday moments, Sinkers can help with the right drink for every occasion. And if you head to the sinkersbeverages.com website or check the link in this podcast description, you can join the in-crowd. In-crowd members get access to allocated wines and spirits, exclusive events, early access to barrel releases, and more. Plus, Sinkers Beverages is on Uber Eats. Justin, any final thoughts on this game, or are we good to close it out?
Yeah, I'm going to quickly just add a note about what you said about Brian Callahan and how you're revisiting that. Go, if you watch that episode with Easton, yourself and I'm feeling pretty good because I was lowest, I think, on that scale, right? I think I gave maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10 or something along those lines about my confidence meter in Brian Callahan, and I'm still there, right? Like, I'm very worried. I feel this team, Mike Herndon tweeted it on Sunday afternoon. It's like, dumb penalties, not prepared to play. Like, there's a lot of things that kind of unfortunately correlate with a poorly coached team. And this team has certainly looked poorly coached on multiple occasions this season. This wasn't the first time. So I'm not all the way out, but I'm very, very concerned about the appointment here. And he's going to get a long leash. He'll get next year, as he should. But they've got to, show some real growth at some point. The last thing I'll note,
before you move on, viewers, our listeners. Before you move on, 11 first half penalties for the Titans against the Commanders. The most first half penalties by a team in a game in 13 years. This is not crazy. Just some bad performance. This is an anomaly bad. This is stands out on the stat sheet. Worst in 13 years bad, just so undisciplined. And yes, like you said, ultimately that falls on the head coach. So your last point.
Yeah, that's a sign of a poorly coached team, typically. The last thing I'll say, just for our listeners, viewers, appreciate you guys tuning in. I think this game clearly proved that we probably should be getting away from like preview episodes. There's only so much excitement you can have previewing, and especially like this week, where we're going to preview the 3-9 Titans against the 2-8 Jags. What we're going to do,
2-10. We're
going to bring on I'm sorry?
2-10 Jags.
2-10. Apologies. What we're going to do instead is bring on a terrific guest, have some great conversations. We've got some incredible guests booked for this show over these next couple weeks on Wednesday. So Sundays, we're going to keep doing the recap episodes. I think we love doing those. You guys, it indicates you guys want those. We like talking about the game as soon as it ends. Sorry, this one is a little bit late. But we're going to keep doing the recap episodes. Wednesdays, we're going to keep coming to you. We are not shortening the content. 2 episodes a week, staying the same. But instead of the traditional preview, we're going to bring on some great guests. And you guys have been responding to those. You loved the episode with Easton Freeze. Who did we have before Easton? They love that one too.
James Foster.
Sorry, that you guys love the episode with James Foster. We're going to keep doing that. We've got some incredible guests booked for these next couple Wednesdays already. And we're really excited to see for you guys to see what we've got in store.
That was a tease, Justin, but let's go full tease here. We got Zach Lyons coming on Wednesday, and we're very excited about it.
Zach will be on Wednesday. It's been a while, a bit of a crossover with the whole, with the F Words pod, crossover with the radio, man. The guy's on freaking radio now with Blaine Bishop. Really excited to have Zach on. It's been a long time since he's come on. The 2 guests after Zach, we won't say who they are yet because, gotta finalize locking them in, but we're super pumped about those.
Absolutely. All right, that'll do it for this one. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and thanks even more if you're watching on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the channel at the Music City Audible Podcast. Leave a comment below. We need those comments. Those comments are the thing that, if you don't know this, YouTube shares your videos with other people who don't know who you are. And one of the things that makes them share a video more often is lots of comments. So if you guys want to just drop like so many comments, I mean, you guys have been, and we really appreciate it, but the more comments, the better. We can never get enough comments, so we appreciate all of that. We also want to thank Sinkers Beverages in East Nashville for bringing us this episode. And we'll be back, like Justin said, on Wednesday, probably late Wednesday. It's a later taping day to accommodate Zach's busy schedule. Later taping day on Wednesday, so we'll be back Wednesday evening, Wednesday night-ish. Until then, you all stay safe out there. And I gotta bring it back.
Tighten down.
A Broadway sports media production.